Hello, welcome back to my channel. Antoinette here. I wanted to do a look through, first kind of impressions look through of the Transparent Oracle by Emily Carding. This is the second edition, which it says quite clearly. It comes from, or I got this one from World of Books, so I believe it's still available there. There is a first edition which doesn't have the extra suit, so this has an extra suit. From my understanding, as I recently watched an interview on Sadhana's Integrative Healing and Jonathan Daly's channel, they did a combined live with Emily Carding, and she talked about the second edition having the extra suit, which would be archetypes, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. I have never worked with this. I haven't seen people work with it properly, but I got drawn in with the interviews and hearing Sadhana in particular talk about her love for Emily's Transparent Oracles. Now, I do also have the Tarot of the She, of course, by Emily Carding, and I love this deck. So the images, if you have this, you'll notice that some of the imagery in this deck is going to match what you see in here, especially facial feature wise. So it comes in a big box. Now, for full transparency, being a transparent oracle, I have this white cloth, this satin cloth below, comes inside this box. And from watching a few unboxings, I noted that it was covered in folding square wrinkles. So I've gone and taken it out and I've ironed it. Now, I'm not sure what this is, but it comes with a transparent square on top of the book. So I don't know if I need this yet. So it's going to be interesting. Otherwise, I'm thinking I might maybe stick it in as a permanent feature, permanent window on there. But I do love the way it overlays. And this is the point. So you can see there, I think we maybe have 3 different types of cards possibly overlaying themselves, or this might just be the glyph and the fairies of the she, or the people of the she on top of the bee. It might just be as simple as that, but we shall have a look and see. Here's the book. So it is a nice thick book. The combination of themes in this deck enables an expression that goes beyond the bounds of all of the other fixed decks, like Mercury among the solid metals. The Transparent Oracle has a fluidity that makes it, what's that say? Inimitable and groundbreaking. The essence of any oracle of its nature. Now ambiguous, now clear, but always full of meaning. So I clearly need my glasses to read this far away from my face. And then it goes on. So Emily created this deck as a round deck. They are numbered. There are pictures. They layer up. I don't know if there's a rule about how many you layer, but she also talked about in the interviews with Jonathan and Sadhana, layering on top of the other tarot decks. So she has a transparent tarot, which is oblong, and she has obviously the Tarot of the She, and they did briefly touch on layering up on top of Tarot of the She. I believe in the Transparent Tarot book at the back, she does have an example of layering up on top of that one. So I'm just flipping through. So this is a Red Feather publication. So we have acknowledgements in here, the contents. Now, when I said, so she set the suits up in the oracle, because I know it's rare to have suits in oracles, as so there are 7 kind of places to work with. Sadhana talks about this in how she works with it within her practice, her spiritual practice. But what we have is the east, south, west, north elemental. We have above, below, and then we go within for number 7. And then the 8th one now is the archetypes. So the reason why she's added it as an extra suit rather than an extra card to each suit, because they've all got nice kind of rounded numbers. So if you don't want to work with the extra suit, I guess you could take it out. We have 3, so using the cards, telling you about shuffling, focusing, visualization. This deck can be used for divinatory, scrying, divining. There's no end to how this deck can be used. And I will be honest, I've been totally drawn in by the discussions that both Sadhana and Jonathan have had about this deck, and that interview that they had with Emily. It simply got me so curious that I had to purchase the deck. So the 7 directions, that's the words I was looking for to describe what we've just talked about. So bearing in mind that between northern and southern, because Emily is from the northern hemisphere, so it would be slightly different correspondence for the south. So you need to check in on those. Looking after your cards. And then we go straight into the elements by the looks of it. East is the direction of the dawn, new beginnings and fresh ideas. Hence, this is where the deck begins. This direction corresponds with the element of air and thus with knowledge, intellectual matters and thoughts. So you could liken that to the suit of swords, couldn't you? Quite easily, East. And for each card, now if we start with card 1, we have a card number on each round, and this is gateway, spring. So we can see the gateway, spring, being indicated with the flowers, and they do sort of look like daffodils, which here would be associated with the end of winter into spring. We have keywords: beginnings, joy, innocence, creativity, gateway and growth. And then what do we have? So some information here about spring, the association of yellow flowers. Oh, it does say daffodils, so my eyesight's not too bad. That's always nice to know. The fact that we're returning to the spring, the lighter time of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, in the UK particularly, spring indicates, and I didn't realise this isn't across the world, it indicates that our days get longer. So as we get into the height of summer, the sun will rise about 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m., and it will set about 10:30 at night, so 10:30 p.m. And we may only have, 5-6 hours of darkness. And then when we get to winter, it kind of goes the other way around, where we may only get maybe 6 hours of good daylight, and then the rest is darkness. So that's one of the unusual things that we have here, but I kind of assumed that happened everywhere in the world until until you travel, really. So if a card or cards from above appear, then this may indicate a moment of divine inspiration. If cards from the north appear, okay, so it just does so combining some of the cards there. And it does that for all the cards, by the looks of it. We've got that shuffling and focusing. So here's our archetypes at the back. Yes, I'm doing my usual terrible. So we have the ruler. I wonder if I need to keep this book out to go through the cards as they come. Magician. Shuffling, focusing, intent, combinations, a good number of cards to overlay on each other. At least to begin with is 3. This will give you a lot of information, and if you line them up graphically so that the numbers on the bottom of the cards align, you should have an aesthetically pleasing mandala-like image to work with. You may also choose to rotate any of the cards according to your own preference or intuition, or use the cards as they fall. It is also beneficial to consider the positioning of layers, remove and add layers as you go, reorder them, to see how this affects your image. Taking this forward another step, you could then combine all these ideas and see how the different rotations affect your feelings and interpretations. Divination, what energies are affecting me at this time? So this is an example by the looks of it. We've got 3 cards laid here. Empathy, the sword and the snow card. First thing that's being noticed is the centre of the empathy card are blocked or obscured by the detail of the snowflake. Okay, so that's a good indication of how to look at these cards then. This could mean someone with usually empathetic nature is currently closing off that part of themselves for some reason. That reason may be provided by the middle card, the sword. This card represents higher purpose and responsibilities. It is likely then that this person has some tasks that must be performed that has caused them to close off their usual empathetic nature in order to focus on their perceived greater responsibilities. And then we've got, if we consider the snowflake's individuality, short lifetime, then it may only be short-lived state, and that this one will bring something unique to the world, interestingly. If we peel off the top layer, we can then see the cross guard of the sword. So we have the cross, the guard, I'm assuming is this bit. Seems to block the eyes of empathy. I see. So there's a face in one of the cards, and it is kind of right across the middle of the face. So storytelling, visualization. So we've got a couple of cards for getting you going. For the adventurous mind, there we go. So we've got 2 transparents laid up on top of each other. So the transparent tarot with the transparent oracle. Some spreads, chakra, elements, senses and keywords for a chakra spread, and then the bibliography. and some information here about the lovely Emily Carding. Right, let's break into it and see what we got. So it comes with a sleeve. From what I've seen, these are slippery, so it's a magnetic top box. I didn't really say that, did I? It's a very sturdy box, actually. North, south, east, west, above, below, and within. No matter where in the world we may be, we are all the centre of our universe as we perceive it. So there are 77 circular cards in this deck, including 7 new archetypes, adding extra clarity to the readings. So, I don't know how this is going to work, actually. Never really thought about it. Let's bring you down. Can you see that? Down a bit further. There we go. So you want to see the images really, don't you? So we have one. Now if I was to lay 2 on top of that, give you an idea of sort of what's going on. Yeah, it sort of bounces up, it lifts a little bit, it obscures the view, so you want it like flat, but I think then therefore it's better in the camera, the view down. So I think because I need my hands, I'm not going to be able to do this and read the book as well. So does it matter if you can't see the numbers? I don't know. They've got 2 sides, so one side is shiny, one side is kind of matte. So I don't think you want that side. So that's quite nice to have that one. And then what I can do is I can just... As I said, I have no idea how I'm going to layer these at this point in time. But just to give you an idea of the cards. So you could, if I just bring that one back, 3 card reading there. So you've got so quite interesting. Got something slightly different then coming in to make our mandala. Now, Emily says about lining up the numbers, but then you could rotate the image, as she said, too, to see where you want it to be. I think if you use the numbers as your guide, although, yeah, I'd probably do that. Wrong way around. Little sparrows on the eagles' heads. This might be a good point to go get yourself a cup of tea. It could be a while as we rotate and play. And I genuinely have no idea what that image is at this moment in time. I know we're maybe in the air suit, or have we moved on? 11. So coming from 3s to 4, there's that feeling of bringing stability with that one. It'd be interesting to know if these are all kind of 4-cornered or if we do get 3 corners. So you can see how it... I guess that's a visual preference, as she said. What is your preferred way of looking at it? Triangle of fire. Kind of have that 3 of Wands feeling. That's an interesting lineup. Yeah, so it's almost like a progressive story there, isn't it? So I don't know what your thoughts are so far. Got 77 of these to get through. Do I carry on layering them up, or should I swap out and do them one at a time? There's our bees. And that's a very nice card. But yeah, you can see why you might want to turn them around, can't you? Just to play with how it feels to you. I do see the bees used a lot, so I know it's a favourite card. Who doesn't like bees? Didn't pay any mind to which way all this was going. Excuse me. It's got kind of an outside element going on now, haven't we? Interesting to know how this shuffles. I mean, how do you shuffle a deck that's this slippery and this large? Definitely in a water element here, aren't we? Some kind of Stonehenges. Are they running to the next shrine? That's the snowflake mandala, actually. See all the energy on that one. And we have the earthy elements. Guessing with the green. I'm terrible at that symbol. Oh, that's quite nice. I like that one paired up with the moon, actually. Really showing up, yes. Polar bears sleeping. Okay. They kind of remind me of vultures. Oh, that's very interesting, isn't it? Makes the owl look a little bit less friendly. The wolves do not a lot with the owls. Kind of, layering them up as totem animals. Where are we? Sorry if I keep moving out of screen. We're only halfway through. It's like little gonks or gnomes. Or as we might say in Cornwall, piskies. That's quite nice. That's nice to see their faces out of layer. Interesting. The element of the sun. 44. So it's nice to see. Sometimes it's like shading, isn't it? So putting that on, it brings that ring, or gives it that real kind of fiery aspect. And just seeing the planet come off the side. So what's that going to be like? The Emperor, isn't it? With the element of Mars, fiery nature. And then this would be, I'd normally be associating our Empress, but we've got the moon there. So we're now building up a landscape of planets, look. So if I put, is that Jupiter? Onto there. Mercury. Saturn. Is that our 7? I think it might be. Then we've got some dragons. So that's nice. There. Like that kind of tree, as above, so below energy there. That's the card that was on the front. Okay, so I know I don't need that one now, so I know I can use it for other things. It's just so they fit almost, if you see, they almost fit over the hats of the card below. And it does sort of change it, doesn't it? So it's like a veil with eyes coming through. Almost makes it animal-like compared to that. So that's what the green man does. Sort of pan energy, isn't it? And then taking away the pink takes away his dimension. Now he's got steam coming out of his head. Right, so let's see how these react with the cauldron. It's interesting with the one there coming out of the cauldron. Oh, that's quite an interesting one, and that's the sword that was in that reading. So we have an arrow. Let's see how the arrow or the wand crosses the bow. So we've got the quarters, direction, elements, protection. We have another one there with the cross quarters. Another dragon. Okay, it's got face and hands. Yep, with the hands. And then we've got another one here layering up with hands. Let's see what that does. Ah, yeah, look at that. Party time. Do need to layer them up just so. Is that it? Just, haha. Psychedelic, man. Yeah, I like that. It's almost like those 3D glasses that you used to get to the cinemas. You know, and you get like the original 3D, the two glasses with the green and red. Was it green and red lenses? They just made everything shoot out of the screen. Was it Jaws? Was that one of the first films in 3D? And it kind of feels like that. So I don't know that I could, like there's too much going on to take these offset. So I agree with Emily, which says it makes her twitch when they're not lined up quite correctly. Yeah, I can see like the OCD elements coming out already there, trying to perfect it. That's an interesting one. So just popping that over the original heads, then kind of got the third eyes opening. It'd be interesting to read about these faces and hands and what they're all up to, actually. And we have kind of green element brought into it, so that earthy, homey sense. What's this one up to? Oh, that gives a very definite alien feel, doesn't it? To the deck. And then we have like a DNA labyrinth. Let's see, there. And we have weaving a web within, so that could be actually instantly right, those two there. Ancestral DNA. That web. Okay, hopefully I'm going to have fun playing with these. Oh, I didn't realise, sorry, I'm off screen. I am Suddy. I didn't realise how far off screen I got. That's the problem. Look, satin mat slipping away. That one. I'm hoping you kind of got the general gist of where I was pointing for most of that. Another one. So we are into the archetypes now. I don't know when we started. It must be maybe card 70. That's nice. I like that. Let's see what this one does. Adds the hands and the element. And then is this almost special archetype number 77? Brings in that kind of queen energy, doesn't it? I think there's maybe that queen of swords, maybe? Fiery. Don't want to say icy, but this just reminds me of the Snow Queen crown. So it makes me think of the wands, because everyone describes that swords, because everyone calls her the Ice Queen. But I don't quite agree. Yeah, so there we go. There's the deck itself. I have no idea how you shuffle this. I guess you put it on a table and smoosh it around. Otherwise, it's going to be just a general. I don't want to take it out of order because I want to come back in and look at this. So today I'm not going to do what I normally do. But what I am going to do, just so we can see, is pull out my Tarot of the She, which I've trimmed and edged. And I'm just curious. So if we take the number and put the number down, what does layering up do? So that's interesting. So that kind of layers up with the body, doesn't it? And then we have, so her hands are up and we have hands around it. And see how that face fits. I don't know if you can see as well as I can, but the face fits into her arms exactly. That's really weird. Now, I don't know if Emily ever meant for that to happen. I'm just going to break the deck up and go for something else. Oh, it's another set of faces. Where's my number? Number's there. Same thing. So I don't know if you can see how that one layers up. So there you've got a clearer vision of the faces and coming in around, and how the pentagram fits the middle of the body again. Let's take a look at another card. It's quite a dark deck to show all this on, so this one might not. So it's a star. So don't think you see that, so it's the star. I put that over him. Doesn't really impact a lot on him. Let's see if we can find another card. I'll just try and find something with a slightly lighter background, maybe. So let's have a look at the dragons. So for the 8 of Wands, and let's find. Oh, this is an interesting card. Water. And that kind of lays right over his head, doesn't it? Right over him. And if we load up another one, just brings in a slightly more, something slightly different. So that's 21, 22. Let's take a look at this one, last one. We have our Dreamer Prince. A couple here we can lay up on him. So there's the fire. See how it sort of captures his head and eyes. And then we have the bees. We'll finish with the bees, shall we? And how they kind of fit into that as well. Okay, that is the Transparent Oracle by Emily Carding, and the Tarot of the She, also by Emily Carding. It's going to be a curious, interesting dive on this deck. I have no idea how I'm going to get on with it, but so far I really like it. I think this is going to not be one that I show often because I need to work out how to use it. But if you have this, just please do drop a comment. How are you finding it and how are you using it? It'll be really curious to, kind of hear from people and how they find layering up with other decks as well. Do you just go with Emily's general decks, or do you layer up with others? Is the question from me. But I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care and be well. Bye-bye.